Trainer Brian BoMac McIntyre has revealed that Terence Crawford is open to fighting Canelo Alvarez without any rehydration clause, emphasizing that Crawford doesn't feel the need for such terms to prove he's the best. According to BoMac, Crawford, 41-0, 31 KOs, is determined to showcase his dominance and show the world why he deserves to be regarded as one of the greatest fighters of this generation. This bold move by Crawford is being framed as a testament to his confidence and willingness to take on a challenge at a higher weight class. However, not everyone is convinced. Many fans argue that Crawford's real motivation for pursuing the fight against Canelo is the massive financial payday it promises. They view the narrative of proving himself as secondary, given that Crawford has bypassed the traditional path of facing top contenders in the super middleweight division before challenging its reigning champion. Critics point out that if Crawford's goal were genuinely to establish himself at 168 pounds, he would have opted to climb the ranks by fighting the best contenders in the division first. Instead, he's choosing to jump straight into a title fight against Canelo, who is widely regarded as one of the sport's most dominant figures. At 37 years old, Crawford no longer has the same level of control over negotiations as he did against Errol Spence. With Canelo's superstar status, Crawford has little room to impose demands, such as weight stipulations, without risking the fight falling through entirely. If this fight doesn't materialize, Crawford would be left facing younger, dangerous opponents in lower weight classes, where the financial rewards and exposure are significantly less. For instance, while Crawford might narrowly avoid defeat against someone like WBC/WBO Jr. middleweight champion Sebastian Fundora, he would likely face serious challenges against fighters like Virgil Ortiz, Sergey Bohachuk, or Bakram Murtazalev. A loss to one of these fighters could severely harm Crawford's legacy and diminish his value in the sport. As of now, the Canelo-Crawford fight is not officially confirmed, but there is significant speculation that it could take place in September, coinciding with the Mexican Independence Day holiday weekend. This timing would maximize viewership and revenue for what could become one of the most talked about bouts in boxing. Still, some fans believe that Crawford needs to prove his worth in the super middleweight division before taking on a megastar like Canelo. For instance, if Turki Al-Sheikh, a key promoter involved in boxing, were to insist that Crawford face and defeat a top-level super middleweight contender before fighting Canelo, it would add legitimacy to the matchup. Such a requirement would address criticisms that Crawford is skipping essential steps and being granted an opportunity based solely on his past accomplishments, rather than his readiness for this weight class. The rivalry between Canelo and Crawford recently intensified after Canelo remarked that Crawford has only defeated one good fighter in his entire career, Errol Spence, and even then, it was after Spence had suffered a car crash. This statement drew a sharp response from Crawford and BoMac, who countered by saying that opponents are only seen as somebodies until Crawford makes them look like nobodies in the ring. Despite this rebuttal, critics argue that Canelo's assessment is not without merit. Crawford's career, while undefeated, lacks victories over elite-level opponents. Unlike Canelo, who has consistently sought out high-risk fights across multiple divisions, Crawford is perceived as having stayed within his comfort zone, avoiding challenges that could have truly tested his abilities. This contrast has fueled debates among boxing fans, with many viewing Canelo's career as a model of taking risks, while Crawford's has been characterized by a more cautious approach. Canelo's statement about Crawford's resume has sparked discussions among boxing enthusiasts about what defines greatness in the sport. While Crawford is undeniably talented, his career has been marked by a lack of marquee opponents compared to Canelo's resume. Critics argue that Crawford's reluctance to move up to higher weight classes earlier in his career limited his opportunities to face elite fighters. For instance, When Gennady Golovkin was reigning as the middleweight champion, Crawford could have challenged him, showcasing his willingness to take risks. However, Crawford chose to remain in his comfort zone, building his undefeated record, but missing out on fights that could have solidified his legacy. This perceived lack of ambition has led to skepticism about whether he truly belongs in the same conversation as boxing's all-time greats. In contrast, Canelo Alvarez has consistently demonstrated a willingness to step into the unknown, taking on champions across multiple weight classes and often fighting on their terms. From his battles against Gennady Golovkin to his historic win over Sergey Kovalev for the light heavyweight title, Canelo has built a reputation for embracing risk and seeking out the toughest challenges. His ability to navigate different weight classes while maintaining dominance has made him one of the most respected fighters in the sport. For Crawford to silence his critics and prove he belongs in the same league as Canelo, he needs to demonstrate a similar level of courage by taking on top contenders in the super middleweight division. Without this, his fight against Canelo may be seen more as a cash grab than a genuine quest for greatness. The financial aspect of the potential Canelo-Crawford fight also raises questions about the motivations behind it. Crawford's willingness to fight without a rehydration clause is being touted as a sign of confidence, but many believe it's a strategic move to secure a lucrative payday. Given Canelo's status as one of the highest-grossing boxers in the world, a fight against him guarantees massive financial rewards, regardless of the outcome. For Crawford, who is nearing the end of his career, this fight represents an opportunity to secure his financial future while adding a high-profile name to his resume. However, fans argue that the fight would carry more legitimacy if Crawford first proved himself at 168 pounds by facing top-level super middleweights before challenging Canelo. The outcome of the fight, should it happen, could have significant implications for both fighters' legacies. If Crawford manages to defeat Canelo, it would be one of the biggest upsets in boxing history, elevating him to legendary status and silencing critics who question his willingness to take risks. On the other hand, if Canelo wins, it would reaffirm his dominance and expose Crawford's limitations, further highlighting the gap between the two fighters' career trajectories. Regardless of the result, the fight would generate immense excitement and debate among fans, solidifying its place as one of the most anticipated bouts in recent memory. However, until the fight is officially confirmed, the questions surrounding Crawford's motivations, preparedness, and ability to compete at 168 pounds will continue to be a focal point in the boxing world. The potential clash between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez represents more than just a high-stakes boxing match. It's a collision of legacies, ideologies, and the very essence of what defines greatness in the sport. Crawford, with his unblemished record and undeniable skill, has always been seen as a tactician in the ring, but his career choices have often raised eyebrows among fans and critics. This fight could be Crawford's ultimate gamble, a chance to leapfrog into history by taking on a larger, more experienced champion in Canelo. The lack of a rehydration clause and Crawford's direct challenge to one of boxing's biggest stars suggest a fighter eager to prove his worth beyond all doubt. Yet, questions linger. Is this move driven by ambition? Or is it a calculated attempt to secure a massive payday before the curtain begins to close on his career? For Crawford, the stakes couldn't be higher. This fight isn't just about winning or losing. It's about cementing a legacy that has often been criticized for playing it safe. For Canelo Alvarez, the fight presents a different narrative. As one of boxing's most accomplished and daring champions, Canelo's resume already glitters with victories over legends and dominant performances across multiple weight classes. Taking on Crawford, a smaller yet undefeated fighter, could be viewed as another opportunity for Canelo to showcase his superiority and reinforce his status as the face of modern boxing. However, Canelo's pointed remarks about Crawford's career choices underline his belief that greatness is earned through risk and perseverance. A victory over Crawford would not only silence any whispers of doubt, but also further solidify Canelo's position as an all-time great. Yet, a loss, though unlikely, could add a surprising twist to his legacy, raising questions about whether the pursuit of continuous challenges might have exposed vulnerabilities. Ultimately, this fight is poised to be a spectacle that transcends the ring, captivating fans worldwide, and adding another chapter to the timeless debate about what truly defines a champion in the world of boxing.